Hey, hi YouTube. I hope you all guys are doing great. In this video, we are going to see the create command of um, how we can create a table, okay, using create um, command. Okay, so previously we have seen a lot of things like we have seen what is database as well as what are the types of database, what actually MySQL is. We have also seen some query practice where we have seen how to create a table and all. And especially we have seen what the data types are. So if you haven't watched that video, please go and watch it. But today we are going to again cover the table creation part because previously we have just covered a small part of it. Okay, so today we will cover everything we need about table creation that we should know. So first of all, in table creation, let me write it syntax. Syntax means the way we write the code or something. Okay, in this case, we are adding SQL. Okay, so first of all, we have to write create, and it's not compulsory that this create should be in uppercase. It can be also in lowercase. Okay, just for standards, I am writing like this. So create table, and then we have to mention our table name. Okay, then we have to write the column name. Okay, let's suppose this is our column name 1. Then we have to write about data type, which type of data that column will contain. We have covered what data type is in the previous video. So maybe it can be int, varchar, decimal, whatever it is. Then we have to also give its size if needed. Like in previous video, you might have observed there was varchar 20. So it was the limit of that string. Okay, then a comma, not comma actually. We also pass a constraint. Okay, so today I will cover what actually constraint is. Then we have column name 2. Again, we have to specify the data type and also the size. And again, if constraint is needed, we can add constraint here. Okay, and so on, whatever columns you want to add. And we will close this bracket. This is actually a bracket, not a square bracket. This we will close this bracket and a semicolon. Now, what actually this constraint is, you might be thinking about it because we have covered data type and size is just like if your data type is a word, which we call it as varchar, then what is the size like 30, 40, and so on. If you are writing integer, you don't have to mention it. Okay. Then what actually constraint is? So whenever we are creating the this columns, we have to pass something. Like one of the constraint is primary key. Okay, so what actually primary key is? It uniquely identifies each record. Okay, like take an example of your driving license. It would be having a number, okay, and which is unique for you. So this number is actually a primary key, which uniquely identifies your record. Okay, then we have uh, foreign key. Okay, so foreign key means it links to another table. We have multiple tables, and sometimes some information is in table number 1 and some information is in table number 2. We have to connect this table. So what creates this link? It is foreign key. Okay, we will see what actually these keys are in depth in the respective video, but I'm just giving an idea what constraints are. Then unique, so it ensures that unique values in a column. Okay, then we have not null. Okay, so not null, by the name it is clear, it prevents having a null value, because if you see, can a driving license number can be null? No, otherwise there will be no means of that particular record. Okay, then default. So default is basically it assigns a default value. Let's suppose you want that in your table, if someone is not mentioning his gender, you want to add like not specified, so that can be a default value. Okay, then we have check. There is another constraint called check. So it ensures column value meet a specific condition. If you want to add a specific condition, it will meet it. What is default? Assigns a default value. What is not null? It prevents null values. Unique, it ensures unique values in the column. It foreign key, it links to another table. Then primary key is basically it uniquely identifies each record. Okay, so this is actually a syntax. Okay, now let's go, and following this syntax we can create a table. Okay, so let's create a table, and I have also created a doc that I can share with you if you need it, so that all the queries that I am writing here will be available, because it's an online platform, so all the queries just um, flew away. Okay, so create table, and let's suppose our table name is employee underscore details. Okay, so this is our table name. Cool. So let me add the semicolon here. Okay. Now let me give a tab. And the first column, let's suppose we want is as employee ID. Okay. I think it's visible to you. Let me zoom in. Okay. And now we have to write the data type. So what will be the data type? Let's suppose it's int. Then let's suppose I am mentioning it as auto increment. Auto increment means if the first employee ID is 1, then next will be automatically 2, next will be automatically 3, next will be automatically 4, and we don't have to mention it again and again. Okay, so then we have this constraint, which is primary key, that I have already mentioned you that in a table, like you can see, this is a customer ID. So in this table, customer ID is the unique identifier. If I have to know anything about any customer, I will look into customer ID, because two people can have same first name and last name, but they can't have the same customer ID. Okay, then let's suppose we have another column which is called as full name, and definitely it's going to string. Okay, or we can say varchar. And let's suppose the name of full name is 100. Like user cannot have more than someone cannot have a name more than 100 characters, and it should not be null, because maybe the database that we are designing, we are telling that no one is allowed to have a null as a full name. Okay, then we have date of birth. Okay, so next is, or maybe we can mention it as dob. Okay, date of birth, and let's suppose the data type is date. Okay, so data type is date. Now this date of birth also we want it as not null, so no one is allowed to fill not fill date of birth. Okay, then we have salary. Now what will be salary? Salary will be decimal. Why? Because it's in floating value, like 2000.22 or something like that. Then we have 10 and 2. What this 10 and 2 signifies, that in this salary there will be 10 digits, and after the decimal there is only 2 digits. Okay, okay, so now let's suppose someone is not adding a salary. We want to add some default values. Let's suppose the default value is 0.00. If someone is not mentioning his or her salary, then we will add 0.00, because that's why we are adding default value. Now is active. Okay, so is active means um, is active. See, um, here I am using this underscore. So every time I should be using underscore if I have to separate two words. If I am using like this, the first letter as a capital, which is I think is Pascal case, then I should follow this. If I have to use camel case, I have to use that. So it should be consistent. Okay, there is no right and wrong, but it should be consistent. Okay, so is active. Now is active means whether the employee is active or not. So it will be in boolean, like true or false. Now if someone is not mentioning whether he or her is active or not, so we want to add a default value as true. Cool. Now let's add join date. So what will be join date? It will be date, not date, date and time. Okay, then date and time, and I maybe it can be also null. Okay, so then we have a resume, and resume is as text. Okay, what is difference between text and you can say um, this varchar. So in this varchar and with this size 100, it means that we can have a word with 100 characters, and text can be very long characters. Okay, like mostly it's around 65,000 bytes you can store. Okay, so because resume is big, so we can have it like this. Then we can have profile picture. Okay, so profile picture is a big binary data. So sorry, picture. So we can make it as blob. Okay, like yesterday I talked something about blob. So it's basically binary large object, and it stores large amount of binary data. Like when we have to store images like this. Okay, so this is how if I run this, it will create a table as employee details. But as of now, I don't want this actually. Okay, and I also don't want this date of birth actually. Okay, so I just want employee ID, full name, salary, whether the employee is active or not, and the join date. So now let's run the SQL query and let's see what actually is happening. So there is some syntax error here, and you will face this syntax error a lot of times. So we need to check it. So what the problem is here? Like employee details is correct, employee ID int auto increment primary key, and then we have full name, which is varchar 100. uh, 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 mm, 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 mm. I think this comma is not needed actually, and it should be 10. I think that will not matter actually. So are we missing something? Not null, default 0 point. Let's run it again. Okay. So here it's completely, I have executed it, and we have created a table. Okay, so let's see how actually the table looks like. Okay, so let me zoom out a bit. So here you can see we have a table which is having employee ID, full name, salary, is active, and join date. And if you want to see the schema of the table, means the how actually the table looks like, because you can't see the this kind of table generally whenever you are working in a production. You just go for this kind of view where you can see the skeleton on the table, which we call it as a schema. So we have employee ID, which is int and auto incremented, and it is also primary key. Full name, it is varchar, salary is decimal, is active is boolean, and join date is date time. Okay, so this is a very basic query so that you can create a table. Okay, now I think that's it for creating a table. In another video we are going to see about how we can insert the data. Okay, so let me store it here so that if I so that I can provide you in future create a table. Okay, so this query is for creating a table. Okay, so let me make it as bold. Okay, so we have created a table. Okay, so we have created a table. Now let's suppose we want to describe the table, like actually how actually the table is looking like. So we can do DESC for describe, and then we have employee. Let me make it smaller. Sorry, employee underscore details. Okay, so whenever you will run this, you will get a schema, and the schema actually the schema is visible on the left hand side, and I don't know, in online platform it's not running this command, but actually this is really important. So this describes a table, like it describes like if you want to see how actually describe command works. So describe tables in SQL. Okay, so let's see. So if you will run it, let's suppose you created a table as users and you describe the users. So you will get something like this. The column name will be there, the type, whether it is null or not, if there is, it is primary key or not, default, and some extra parameters. It's not, I am not able to execute it in this an online platform, but if you are going by installing MySQL on your own system, it's better, but I don't think so. It's a huge problem if you are not able to use this command. But and definitely we are able to see it here only on the left hand side, but you should know these commands. Okay, so this is for creating a table, and let's suppose we want to describe the table or database, then we use this desc command. Okay, so I think this is also not very, it's important actually, because every time you can't go and check for all the data, you just go and see the uh, structure of the table, like actually how this table looks like. Okay, so this is also an important command which you should know. Okay, now we have seen table creation. In the next video, we are going to see how we can insert the data in the table. Meet you in the next video. Till then, bye bye. Thank you.